Hi everybody and welcome. My name's Julie Mann. I am a professional network marketer, an actor, and I'm also an EFT practitioner. And today I'm joined by John Parr. Hi John.
Hi.
So John works as a coach and trainer of emotional assertiveness. There are many other things that you do as well, aren't there, John?
There are indeed.
Yeah, I've been looking at your profile and I know that for almost 33 years you've been delivering bespoke packages in human behavior, things
Yes.
like team building, communication skills, stress management.
Management, yeah.
Absolutely, there's a long list. But I'm just really curious to know, firstly, why was it that you chose to work in this field?
Oh, that's an interesting question. My first profession was electronic engineering in the Royal Navy, and I realized that I wasn't really the kind of person that wanted to spend his life geared towards killing other people. So I got interested in people more than equipment, and I left the Navy and ran a drug rehab center for recovering substance abusers, residential treatment center. And that led me on a path to training as first of all, a probation officer with psychology and sociology, being an HR manager, and being a psychotherapist. So it was a very weird career route.
Yeah, it could be more different than working, than being in the Navy.
Well, it's
You were
different and
doing what
similar.
turnaround?
It's different and similar.
Okay, what are the similarities, would you say?
Similarities is that on small ships, and I was mostly on small ships, it's vitally important to get along with people. When at sea for any length of time, it's not okay to be in heavy conflicts, fruitless conflicts. So learning how to cooperate with people, get along together, learning how to deal with difficult times and not let it get you down. So I think it was a pretty good place to learn a lot of life skills. And so the similarities are that in working as I do now with human behavior, it's still about getting along with people, cooperating, having respect for one another, dealing with difficult times without going under. So there's a lot of similarities, really.
Well, I think really life is about relationships, isn't it? So
Yes, that's
communication
right.
is really important.
Yeah.
So were you always a good communicator?
I think I was. I'm dyslexic, and when I went to school in the late 40s and early 50s, it wasn't called dyslexia, it was called stupid. And fortunately, I knew I wasn't stupid. And I knew that if I could ask questions and interrogate, I could quickly learn topics and retain the information. So I learned how to communicate verbally, how to get alongside teachers and find what I needed to know from them. I was also a pretty small kid, and when I first went to school was bullied. So I had to pretty quickly learn how to deal with bullying, and that has been useful in my life as well over the years. So I think that it's probably fair to say that communicating was something that I was naturally good at.
Wow. Yes, absolutely. So, you do emotional assertiveness, and some people may not be aware of really what that is. How would you define that, John?
Well, it's basically it's the art of being really aware of our authentic emotions and having the guts to speak about them, to put them on the table and use them as a means to help to communicate, particularly to understand what issues I've got that are important to me, to be able to understand the issues that are important to you through emotionality. So it's about building relationships and making attachments and bonds. And it comes from the work I did as a therapist. So early in my days as a therapist, I realized there were two basic client clusters: people who defend themselves by getting into their heads, and not being aware of their emotions, or people who defend themselves by being overwhelmed by their emotions and not thinking much. And the cure was always in helping people to put their emotions and their thinking together and to use them to problem solve and to move forward in life. So I developed the model back in the 90s, really, when I was working as a therapist, wrote my master's degree on it, and now I'm teaching others how to use it.
Brilliant. I mean, most people, I mean, personally, I wasn't brought up to, express my emotions in perhaps a clean way. So what would you say to people who really, haven't grown up in a family where it's okay to have your emotions?
Well, excuse me, Julie. Again, I think that's an interesting question, because I would say, as a generalization, that none of us were brought up in a family where it was okay to express all of our emotions. Most families have a prohibited emotion, or learn how to express emotions in an unhealthy way, but not how to express them emotionally.
Can you talk about,
way.
apologies, can you talk about the difference between expressing emotions in a healthy way as opposed to an unhealthy way?
Yeah.
Just give a kind of example.
Well, my view is that there are no negative emotions, that all of our emotions are there for a jolly good reason. But it's how we express them that makes them either positive or negative. So if I, for example, if something occurs in my life and I experience anger as a result of it, it literally means there's something I don't like. And the energy that I get from that is supposed to drive me towards other people in a problem-solving mode. So I come to you and talk to you openly about my feelings, hoping to negotiate and solve a problem, not necessarily hoping to win, but to find a solution. So if I express my emotion in a healthy way, the chances are, more often than not, I succeed in negotiating with you, and we both end up feeling okay. We look for a workable compromise. If I come to you with all guns blazing and I'm like firing at you from the hip, this is a negative expression of anger, and it's not going to lead towards a healthy negotiation. It's a manipulation. I'm attempting to scare you into doing what I want you to do. Chances are you might respond in a similar way, wanting to scare me into doing what you want me to do. So we end up not cooperating, not collaborating, and damaging the relationship. So for me, all the time we're looking for being aware of the authentic emotions, expressing them in a healthy way, authentically, and avoiding expressing our emotions in a negative and destructive way. Where it becomes difficult is we seldom feel just one emotion at a time. There's usually, when I'm not feeling good, there's a combination of angry, scared, and sadness, or at least two of them combining to make another color on the chart.
Some people watching though, John, they might be thinking, I've got no idea what John is talking about. This sounds like another language that I'm not familiar with. So how would somebody begin to create a better way of communicating? You know, if someone's watching and they're really struggling right now with the situation that they're in, and they're feeling misunderstood, they're not getting their message across, what would you suggest they do? Is there a very, very simple thing that they could do?
Well, the first thing that anyone can do in a situation like that is breathe. So I invite people to learn to slow their process down and to take several deep breaths and to become aware of what their emotions really are and what they really want before they start talking about it. Often we're shooting from the hip, as I said earlier, whether it be angry, scared, or sad. And what we need to do is to be aware, what do I want from this person? What is it I need that would help me to deal with my emotions? And am I willing to give them what they need in exchange so that we can both help one another feel good? So I think your point that you picked up earlier about people not understanding what the heck it is I'm talking about is a good one, because frankly, not very many people do understand this. I don't see globally a lot of emotional intelligence. There are some people who are more emotionally aware than others, but I see much more destructive emotions going on than I see of healthy bonding attachment kind of emotions that lead to good, healthy relationships, us being able to work together cooperatively, live together cooperatively, be supportive of one another, have empathy for one another. And the good news is these are skills that can be taught. So the model that I've built is one that simplifies emotions, helps people to put labels on their own emotions and to know what to do about it, how to express them in a healthy way. That's really the nub of the model.
How much is habit? How much does habit feature in human behaviour?
Hugely, much more than we believe. My therapy style was transactional analysis, and in TA, the concept basically is we program ourselves with a script for our life in the first 7 years of life. So we're observing the grown-ups in our life as if we're little Martians, because we don't know all the things that they know, but we watch their bizarre behaviors and we try and make sense of them. And as we make sense of what we're seeing, we store our conclusions in our unconscious, like a script for a play. So the first thing that happens every morning when we wake up is we load the disk operating system that tells me how to be me. And that contains a lot of really useful material, but it contains a whole lot of error messages, and we don't know that they're error messages because that's what the computer's been taught. So a lot of our behavior is driven from the unconscious and driven from patterns that we learned in childhood, which you rightly say are habits. It becomes habitual.
So really, I guess it's about becoming conscious of what we're doing.
It's raising our awareness to things that are currently not in our awareness. So the good thing about emotions is that it has an amazing ability to trigger memory and to help us to get back to the days when we made these odd decisions and now apply grown-up logic to the decisions and realize, well, for a 3-year-old, that wasn't a bad decision. But now I'm 53, or in my case, 76, then maybe that doesn't work anymore. Maybe I could use a different strategy in these situations. So we rewrite the script, a bit like reprogramming a computer that's got an error message.
Brilliant, because having a 3-year-old run a company is just not a very smart idea, is it?
No, and if you go into companies, as I often do, and work with chief executives and the executive team, I quite often see sitting around the table 2- and 3-year-olds who are utterly unaware that their behavior is being driven by a past reality that's no longer effective in the here and now. And my job is to help them to notice that in a way that isn't humiliating or traumatizing, or shaming. The important process is to raise our awareness to the fact that we do these strange things, and it's not out of ill will. it's because that's what we truly believe is what we need to be doing right now. And once we can examine that, we can then start to put a new show on the road.
So tell us more about the other work that you do. So you're saying you go into companies and you raise people's awareness and you teach those skills. What else do you do, John? I know you do so many things.
Well, primarily what I'm doing today is training trainers to deliver my material, training coaches to apply it in their coaching work, and still going into some organizations and delivering seminars, helping companies to work better as teams and as groups. And the thing that I'm most proud of and most excited about is the work that I'm doing with one of my trainers in Australia, in schools that were affected by the fires and the floods, where the children have post-traumatic stress. And we're working with the teachers, the children, and the parents to help the children to express their emotions and get over their stress from the impact of those tragedies, really. It was terrible what they lived through. And I'm very excited about what's coming out of the schools.
Yeah.
I'm having side effects, spin-offs that we hadn't even dreamed of. One head teacher reported to me last week that they've had several children come to her since they've attended this little seminar that they were on, and reported that they're being abused at home. And they were able to do that because they were given the permission to talk about their feelings, to talk about their emotions. And so these children are now being properly protected from horrendous things. And that for me is like such an exciting spin-off. Wasn't in our thinking when we delivered the seminars, but that's one of the things that's going on, that the children are freed up to talk about their authentic emotions, which means they also know, well, I need some help with this.
That's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So are you doing a lot of your work on Zoom then? Is it mostly online, John?
In the last 6 months, yes. Until the lockdown, I would have said, you can't do this online. And I still think that there's some things that you just can't do online. But what I have found is I can deliver seminars online, and people can take the emotional impact from it. But it's much more of a one-on-one almost. It's like a group of people, but working with them one-on-one, because I don't see them as a group. I lose the quality of what we get from working with a group of people, the group dynamic. That's missing for me in Zoom. But for all intents and purposes, I can transfer knowledge and skills. I just can't work quite at the depth that I can when I'm in a room with live breathing people around me.
Yes, I know what you mean. So how can people find out more about you and the work you've done and the work that you continue to do?
Well, probably the first step would be to take a look at my Emotional Assertiveness website, which is literally emotionalassertiveness.com. And on the front page, the home page, there are 2 3-minute videos. One explains the model, just an overview of the model. And the other one explains the work I'm doing in Australia with the children. It's called, I think we call it Relaxation for Kids, or I can't remember what the title of it now was, Stress Management for Kids or something. But it's teaching small children what's going on in their brains when they experience flashbacks, and then teaching them how to breathe and to calm and to call up healthy memories. And so both of them are about 3 minutes. 2 videos that I wrote the scripts for and had a studio draw the animations for, and they're a good start place.
Yeah. So is there anything before we close that you would like to say?
I would like, first of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. But what I would really like to say is that when we get in touch with the power of our emotional life, and we can think about what we feel and feel about what we think, and do both at the same time without being contaminated by the past, it empowers us in such an amazing way, gives us the capacity to reach out to other people, to be there for other people. And I encourage people to go down that road.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, John.
You're very welcome. Take good care.